right, guys. Well, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's finally here after months of comments, DMs, people stopping us basically in the street. The wait is over. I'm so excited to welcome back the fabulous Alexander Circosta for part 2 of our deep dive into the not so glamorous side of the influencer industry. In part 1, we spilled the tea on fake followers, boosted posts, the all too real scramble for the PR lists. But here's the thing, we're not just talking about shady tactics. We're talking about how those tactics are now starting to impact legitimate content creators. There are so many amazing creators out here doing things properly, putting in the work, building real communities, and yet businesses are starting to second guess us because they've been burnt before. They've worked with someone who misrepresented themselves, bought followers, gamed the system and left a bad taste basically. So in today's episode, we're not just exposing the scams, we're talking about the fallout, the reputational damage, the missed opportunities, and how we as a community move forward from all of this. So let's get into it. Alexander, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Bernadette. I agree with you completely. That was the episode where everyone's just like, oh my gosh, thank you for talking about this. This is what we've been waiting for. They can spill all the names.
How many times did we go out to events after that podcast and people were stopping us left, right and centre?
Or even the audio messages we were receiving from people being just like, I was just on my walk and I listened to your podcast.
Exactly.
They didn't listen to any of the other ones that we did, but that one was the one that they wanted to hear.
That's right. I think it really hit a nerve with people because either they'd experienced it or they've just started out in the industry and they want to know more. But yeah, it definitely left a few little questions to be answered.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you think the rise of for want of a better word, scammy influencers has damaged the reputation of legitimate content creators with businesses?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's really hard in an industry where it's very unregulated still and anyone can call themselves anything and then approach businesses under the guise of that, and there's no auditing process or list where you can confirm things, and even the online tools as to, is this account real, aren't that effective at really telling you. So without that word of mouth endorsement, you would assume a lot of these people are legitimate despite what I sometimes see as pretty average content on their own pages. I would say a lot of people are still very much masquerading as I'm a content creator or I'm an influencer or I'm media now, so I should be front and center. I've always found it interesting when people have that philosophy that just because someone's on a stage doesn't mean they can sing.
That's right, or act.
or speak or anything. But I think the idea that you can just put yourself on a stage has created many people who now would more than happily claim to be experts, not even just I'm good at it, experts in just a plethora of spaces, particularly in the creative arts.
That's so true, because then it's left up to businesses or business owners who have no experience in this new media space to then go, they've just got to take them at face value, don't they? And go, they said they're a content creator, so I believe them.
Yeah.
So I think then there's that void left where, they need to be guided.
Yes.
And help.
Because they don't understand the product in and of itself. It's one thing if a plumber comes and says he's going to fix the faucet, you can see when the faucet is fixed.
Yeah.
But within this space, someone who claims I'm going to come and give you great content that's going to help advertise your business, and then they've gone and boosted the post afterwards and been like, look, 10,000 views. You'll be like, oh my God, it worked. But then are you going to be that discerning to start looking through and be like, wait, there's no comments. Wait a minute. Can I look at the insights on this post? Or why is it only collabed on your page? Couldn't have you posted on mine and collabed with you?
Until someone clever comes along like you and says, look, there's no engagement.
Yeah.
You may have 10,000 views or something, but you've got one
Did
comment.
Did you get any messages?
Yeah.
And they'll be like,
Did you get
no.
any business from this?
Did it correlate to any kind of
Where's your credibility?
Or did they give you the video? Can you use the video on your website, or is it just one reel that they charged you $800 for, and it was filmed without even microphones, so the sound wasn't that good? But we created this sense of, and if a plumber came in and then left and the faucet was still leaking, you'd be like, it didn't work. But the content creator leaves and then they're off to the next thing, and they
exactly. And I guess there is that space in any service-based industry where, you know, you can even get somebody to your house that says, I am a plumber, or I'm going around checking the roofs and, you know, I am qualified, but you don't know as well. So in any service-based industry, it is quite tricky to know, does this person really have the qualifications that they claim to have? So, yeah, I guess what can businesses be taught to look out for, you know, when getting somebody like a content creator to help them promote their business?
I think
how would they know?
If you can familiarize yourself with at least the platform that you want to promote on, in a very basic sense. I'm not saying you have to go do some course in Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn, but, you know, who uses LinkedIn? As we call it, the boring one.
It's the business
Instagram one, which is code for boring. When everyone says it's a business, it
we
means
must represent on all platforms.
You're right,
I believe,
Bernadette.
Alexander.
Boring. Linked into what? What are we linked into? All it is people saying, yeah, that's all it is. It's basically everyone in a circle saying, I need a job.
Are you actively looking?
Congratulations on your new employment.
Yes, that's right.
But if you can have just like a, I don't know, cursory, which is the word I just made up then, understanding of it, that would be really useful.
Yes.
Because just if you have never used it, you're already a step behind, because you'll easily be able to be fooled by someone because they can claim anything.
Yeah.
But they can flick through. They can fake things. That if you don't understand where even the insight's located, you could ask them for insights and they could fake those documents.
That's
so
correct.
I think the first thing is that you need to be able to actually have some kind of usage of it. Download it and have a little play on it.
Yeah.
Just to
some
see.
basic knowledge. Yeah. And try and do some things yourself. Get an understanding of it and see how hard it is. And then, or know where your weaknesses
Correct.
are. And then, you know, get somebody who has those skills and talent.
And look to their clients. If they are a genuine creator, ask that, I'd love to, who are some people you've worked with? Can you show me?
Yeah.
And then reach out to those people. Like, hi, I'm thinking of hiring this person. What was your experience of them? Because people who've had a negative experience will tell you.
Well, you see, that's where LinkedIn does come in handy, because it is like an active...
I'm sorry, do you work for LinkedIn?
No, actually, but now I'm becoming quite defensive. I never thought I liked it before. But it is like your run sheet of your resume, like it is your like your CV. You know, show the things that you've done, show where you've worked, show the people you've worked with. Prove it, you know. And also, as a business owner, don't be afraid to look at that person's Instagram and the engagement on their post.
In person, not over messages.
They can't teach you skills about a certain industry when you go and look at their page and they've had no traffic.
And in person, say at the consultation, do you mind showing me your insights?
Exactly.
Because if they get all defensive, oh, no, I'd love to see where your audience is based.
Like,
why would you hide that?
Have we even to each other gone, oh, look how much our insights have grown, you know, because we know what we're doing and we're doing it every day repetitively.
Because you are setting yourself up for failure if you come in and you know that your followers are fake.
Yeah.
Like you are that's a very risky thing to do with a business that you're charging money to.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like,
and it's a constant act you have to juggle.
Yeah,
constantly.
because you will be boosting every post or buying followers on every post as long as the campaign lasts for. And then you'll kind of have to answer to the fact if they go like, oh, it didn't seem to work. You're like, oh, well, you know, the internet, like, it's out of our hands.
Exactly.
Half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, or there's no I in team. Like, so
I know, that is
one of the 2 steps I would take is like, get familiar with the app you want them to use, and then speak to the previous clients. And 3, I guess, would be to look at the insights in person with them. Because they wouldn't hide that from you if they were genuine.
It's really hard to get this accepted as a service-based industry. So what we don't want to happen, but is already starting to happen, is that businesses are being burnt by the fake creators or delivering fake promises. And that's what we don't want to happen. So, I guess we need to, how do we prove, you know, it's how do we prove ourselves and how do we re-educate, you know, the businesses into, you know, saying this is what we need to look for and this is what we need to be aware of when meeting up with content creators and having meetings with them. And so it is about seeing their stats and
100%. Ask for the evidence, because like everyone in the new media space, even in the legacy media space, you can't just say you can do it. Show me. When someone says they can bench 100 kilos, you don't go,
why isn't there a video to show me?
Not even the video. Show me you benching it. I'll come with you to the gym. Show me you doing the thing. Because we are in an era now where people can say they can do anything. I can do that. I can do this. And then they come out with these prices, $15,000 this, $20,000 package of this. Oh, we'll make videos and da-da.
Well, the stories we've heard when we've visited local businesses, even when people have said, I got someone to do my website and it only costed
$10,000.
And we're thinking,
oh my God. $10,000 for a website?
And quite often they've been very unhappy, very unhappy to the point where they've said, look, don't bother, just give me my money back or, So we've met a lot of people out there who are actually looking for the thing but not knowing how to ask for it because of the industry is still so new.
I know a business, Bernadette, that had an event and they were worried because ticket sales were very slow. So they brought in a marketer who charged them, ready for this? $15,000. This is 5 weeks before the event. $15,000 to market the event. How many tickets do you think sold?
Oh, I'm just going to say 30.
Lower.
Really?
Guess. Lower.
0.
Not a single ticket sold, Bernadette. $15,000 marketing package.
Did they continue to charge? Did they get... or what happened?
To be paid up front, Bernadette.
Oh, my gosh. See?
And that's people masquerading in the space of marketing through digital and legacy product. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that marketing is just...
You say all the time.
It's not magic, but also don't fall into the trap of someone claiming they can help you. Be realistic and look to the evidence. Show me an event that you've marketed. Show me. If they are real, they'll have evidence. If they're not, we don't.
Don't be afraid at the meeting to say,
this
that
is your money.
Wonderful. I'd love to work with you. Show me some of the other projects that you've done. That would be amazing.
And then you've got the flip side of it where genuine creators are asking for a very reasonable $300 or $500 for a produced reel using a DSLR camera, Rode mics and lights. And people be like, oh, that seems a bit steep. And you're just like, is it though?
Yeah, is it?
Is it though? Because you're more than willing to pay $15,000 to some marketer who no one's ever heard of, but claims to be able to help you, who gives you no value. But then you'll get all picky because you're like, but like, I don't know, that, Instagram. Like, if it's in the newspaper, then everyone sees it. So more people are dying than subscribing to a newspaper. And when you're in that space where media is shifting so rapidly, who's watching television? No one.
Well, not free-to-air channels.
Why would you be? Linear television is over. No one goes, oh, I love the fact that I can watch that show with all those ads at one time each week.
And I've never met anyone under 45 who's gone, I'm going to rush out and buy the paper.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't read the paper today, so I don't know what's happening.
With my morning coffee.
People are using TikTok as a search engine now.
100%.
The shift is happening rapidly. AI tools have integrated across the board. We are moving into a new space of media where it's basically merging. We're not going to have every podcast is a video podcast.
Do you find the people from old media though are
legacy media
holding on quite tight?
If you don't know how to swim, Bernadette, and you're on a boat that's sinking, what are your options? You stay on the boat until it's in the water, and then you try to find a door to rest on, or you jump in the water and drown. So what are the options?
Exactly.
And I see that. There's a lot of people
They're protecting their space.
Correct, because on the flip side, it takes a while for a big boat to sink.
It does.
So I think some people are more than happy to just ride it out.
Yeah. If they would be clever to pivot. And I think that's something important.
And it's hard. You went your whole life where you never had to edit. You never had to film. You got to just turn up.
It is the easy way out.
Yeah. You never had to learn those skills. And to learn those skills now after, let's say, 10, 20, 30, 40 years of never having to do them, you won't.
Especially when it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
It's too hard now to learn Instagram 101 and
learn Instagram. I met someone who worked in legacy media who asked me, how do you make the camera flip sides to face you?
Really?
And these are like broadcasters.
Yeah. And
And it's not to be like, oh my gosh, how like they're not stupid. No, it's not about being stupid, but it is about being just like, that is where it's at.
That's where it's at. Because if you did hop on board initially, you find that there are all the universal type things that across all platforms,
correct.
You'll see what the flip thing looks like and all that stuff. So that just goes to show how far
you've got to go. If you haven't adapted now, you're late. You're extremely late.
Exactly.
The best time was yesterday and the second best time is today.
I know that doesn't leave much for them.
No, it's just like, oh, okay, if you are starting from the point where you need to learn how to use a phone, it's a long way to go. And unfortunately, this is not an industry of mediocrity anymore.
No. Do you think there'll be a time where content creators or influencers, if we ever come up with a better word, will need to get some kind of accreditation like an electrician or a plumber does?
You're looking at these creative industries have always had this idea that like if you have a degree, that means you can do it. But the nature of the creative arts industries is that's never mattered. The majority of very successful people have no qualification in quotation marks with regards to the profession they're in. So I don't think you'll ever have like, what you got to, I studied influencing. No, but the skill sets remain the same across the board. They haven't changed. The skill set of marketing will always be marketing. The platforms we're using to do it have changed, but marketing principles remain the same.
Yeah.
Marketing touch points, leveraging off of established brands, like all of that stays the same. The sizzle, not the steak not the sizzle. All of those principles stay the same. It's the fact that the platform changed so rapidly that people knew how to ride a bicycle and then suddenly we don't ride bicycles anymore. We ride unicycles that are on fire. And you went, oh, I don't even know how to ride a unicycle, let alone one that's on fire and juggle at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where I think a lot of people fall down because they were so used to being like single discipline.
Yeah.
And whereas a content creative, true content creative,
multi-discipline. Exactly.
It's like emceeing. So I do a lot of emceeing, right?
Yeah.
And as an MC, it used to be very much before my time, you know, so young.
So young. Oh my God, I can't actually believe it. Yeah.
And it used to be that an MC, you didn't have to write the script. You would receive the script and you would turn up and you would just read it.
Wow.
And that's the role of the MC and you'd get paid very well to do that. And people they would often use news people because there was the idea of reporters were good at speaking and they would do that. Very much what's shifted now is you need to be able to engage a room. So that means that people with skills in comedy would do well as MCs. You need to be able to entertain. Well, there may be people who can sing. Like how quickly it shifted from just being able to
reading off a script.
Correct. To now it's a multidiscipline approach.
Want you to sing and dance.
Yeah.
And joke.
If you can bring true value beyond personality, Bernadette.
Personality.
Maybe that's the phrase that needs to come into it. Maybe it's not about content creator. It's
or
about
influencer.
Content personality.
Maybe it's about personality.
Yeah, because influencer, I always think reality TV. And
do you?
Yeah, and I think it's a pejorative.
Yeah.
I think influencer implies lazy, implies it's not a good thing to be called an influencer in my opinion. Because also they don't influence. If they're so good at influencing, they should be able to, if they post something, then everyone does it or a percentage of people do it. But if you pay all this money to some influencer and no conversion whatsoever, then what exactly are they influencing?
Exactly.
True influencing is real. But I'd say the majority of people who exist in the space are not. And you only have to look to the actual money they make and the actual businesses that work with them. Because if they're so good, why is no one working with them?
Exactly. And going back to creators and skill set, etc. And, I guess it's like how we were talking earlier today about, you can have a photographer, but they need to be able to see what they're going to take, the photo that they're going to take. Yeah. They need to be able to know, sometimes it's something you can't teach.
No.
It's just a skill set you need to have. So in that space, I think it will be quite hard to learn.
But because of the nature of these platforms, because they are free to play, everyone can hop on and do whatever they want. Anyone can just come on and say anything. No one's going to be like, wait a minute, you can't call yourself that.
If you put it in your bio.
It's true.
It's true.
And so from a business perspective, how wonderful. I'll edit every photo in there.
And then they meet me.
Maybe there is a sense that we're moving towards the return of the gatekeeping. Yeah. Before, it used to be that you couldn't just walk through. The doors were closed. Then there was no way in unless someone had the key that you knew.
That's
to
right.
torture a metaphor forever.
Yeah.
But if you were in vogue, it meant something.
Yeah.
But now everyone can put a photo up everywhere. So maybe we need to return to some semblance, which is what kind of is happening with independent media developing structures around what they do. Then to get on a podcast isn't as simple as just like, oh, you can just hop on it. It's just like, no, actually, you have to pay to be on that podcast, or businesses pay to have ads in that space. And that the amount of money that exists, because they're ad revenue based, as it has always been the case. Magazines and television were ad revenue based, and new media is very much developing the structures of ad revenue as well. So the people who've come in and developed those structures faster are the ones that do the best. And also the creator economy can exist with things like Patreon. It can be direct consumer. I pay directly for your podcast because I like your podcast and you. It's not about the general sense anymore.
Well, you lecture in podcasts.
Yes.
So, is that
third fastest growing form of media?
Yes,
podcasting.
Exactly. So is that a space where radio even will diminish in face of...
Because the nature of radio was that there was an immediacy to it. It was live and you could talk to it. But the nature of podcasting is you can listen to a podcast. It's more personal. You don't. You can listen to a podcast while you're on a walk in the morning, while you're eating your breakfast. You stop it and listen to the rest of it at night time while you're in the car driving. It is so much more practical and it's long form. People love the idea of a deep dive. There's so many fantastic podcasts which are deep dives.
And you have different podcasts that you listen to for different times of the day. You've got your nighttime, I want to fall asleep to this, morning walk, drive, long drive, short drive. And what mood you're in.
Exactly. And yes, they have ads, some of them, but they're not to the degree. They're more supported in a more like, I don't know, structured way.
And they're more tailored for you as well.
Yeah, it's bespoke.
Ads. Yeah, exactly.
It actually is relevant to the
thing.
thing.
They're not so cheesy and
and they're not as expensive to make.
Yeah, exactly.
Like obviously a beautiful podcast studio like this warrants a cost to use it. But when it comes to the idea...
Podwave.
Thank you, Podwave. Little shout out. But when it comes to the nature of creating a podcast, you already almost have all the tools you need with your phone and 2 mics.
Exactly.
So the fact that, and it's not because we're trying to get people like, hey guys, get in on it. But if you are interested in being in media, you can start right now. Waiting for your opportunity to become. There's not 15 billion breakfast hosting slots, but you know what there can be? 15 million podcasts. What are you waiting for?
Breakfast morning podcast.
And
you
these forms of media will legitimately divide because. If, like we just said, someone can't just walk into a gym and try to lift 100 kilos.
That's right.
Likewise, someone can't hop on a stage and be a good MC. Someone can't hop on a mic and be a good podcaster.
So what would be stopping somebody from the legacy media who may be worried about the future of their, career, starting their own podcast?
I think what's very difficult.
It's something they should run alongside just in case.
Well, it's
almost,
it's like the cannibalism of it all, right? Because if you start splitting the audience that you do have, some would say like, well, then the advertisers will get upset because it's like, well, if you're giving the best stuff on the podcast or things like that. So it's very difficult because the legal structures around legacy media still very much preclude them. Things have to go through approvals and checks and partnerships, and you can't just talk about whatever you want. Whereas on a podcast that's independent, you can, which has democratized it.
Right.
But if you work for an organization which very much still has a lot of, let's say, 200 corporate partnerships, you are very limited in what you can say external to that organization. Things need to be approved by the organization or you will lose your job with them. So I think a lot of them have their hands tied in that regard. They're not able to, and they don't have necessarily the skills. So it's not having the skills to transition and then not wanting to develop the skills and then also being tied by the kind of, the echoes of legacy media and all the restrictions that come with it with regards to partnerships and contracts and NDAs and all of that. And so that's why I would say a lot of them will probably, if within the next 10 years, as media kind of moves even faster into this kind of like merged space, because we won't always have legacy and new. It'll just become media.
It will merge eventually.
It will merge because the shift will happen as the generations grow older. It's not like suddenly teenagers are going to be like, let's all read magazines again. I don't think so. It's possible, but I don't think so.
They did have that little time where they wanted to, well, they are still going back to the 90s cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
And but like the skinny jean, but also it'll go away again. It's like
mock the skinny jean.
So I would say it'd be very difficult.
And how clever were all the people who hopped on straight away, like Heather McDonald, Call Her Daddy, all those
Shameless girls.
Yeah, the Shameless girls. Yeah,
full independent media company now.
Very, very clever.
Big Small Talk, fantastic podcast.
Yes. She's on the money. I mean, they just go on and on. So.
And you see with the recent election here in Australia, the amount of people that leverage into the space politically to get the reach. Made sense. So it was the podcast election, they were calling it.
Oh, wow.
Because you saw the effect it had on the American one, and look what's happening here. Abby Chatfield.
I mean, she had the power to influence, and influence she did.
And you can see how legacy products are trying to diminish that by being like, oh, no, it's not podcasting. Like, see, he lost the seat because he went.
And Donald Trump on
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's got, 75 million listeners? I mean, that's insane. The best show on TV will get maybe 1 million?
Exactly.
What are you guys talking about? If I'm an advertiser, I'm like, where should I put my advertising dollars? Into that show that got 500,000 views, we think. Because also the surveys. People don't understand how surveys are done.
Yeah, tell us the radio surveys.
Radio surveys are done on paper. Like, it's like, did you listen to this show in the morning? Tick. Did you... And then per person, they correlate that to 1,000 or something. So I'm just like, I'm sorry. That's a very archaic way of doing survey data.
Yeah.
Whereas if you compare that to digital data, I can look to see.
You can sway that, can't you?
Yeah. It helped. Like, that's why they're like the most listened to with 10. And you're like, really?
Yeah, really.
Anecdotally, you ask people and no one's listened to it. But also, the beauty of digital media, you can see the point they stopped listening on a reel.
Yeah.
The watch time is evident to you. The location. The fact that you even have these metrics, at a certain point, these platforms will monetize and say, if you want access to viewership things, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And you'll suddenly be like at the whims of these platforms. So enjoy it now, everyone, because those kind of insights will not be free because these survey companies charge thousands of dollars to do these surveys.
100%.
And they still give you this generic kind of idea of what they're watching.
Exactly. And who were we talking to the other day when, obviously a reel can go, I think, up to 3 minutes now, can't it?
Yes.
And they were saying, well, now apparently under 30 seconds does really well.
Yeah.
And we're like, soon it'll be 1 second.
Soon it'll just be like, just give me the gist. I didn't want to watch too long.
I'm not watching it at all.
I'm not watching it at all. Just tell me what it was about.
It's crazy. The attention,
yes,
where.
But by the same token, podcasts getting longer. So
the podcast, yeah.
So we're at two ends of the spectrum now. People are watching 5-second videos on TikTok and they're watching 5-hour videos on YouTube, deep dives into the iCarly show.
And then you've got the people who are doing podcasts, but they're not doing it on Spotify or those platforms. They're just doing the YouTube podcast.
There are people doing podcast clips.
Tester.
Yeah. Some people would literally just do clips as if they're on a podcast, but they're not.
No.
And they put them on TikTok and they do well because the format works.
Because people don't really actually want to listen to the whole podcast.
Correct.
Or because you do get different audiences and
100%.
you got to cater for the different.
Yeah, you've got to find your audience and that's where consistency comes into it. You must be consistent.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Buzz. Make sure you tune in next time for part 3, where we're going to dive in deeper into the world of influencers, from shady deals to what it really takes to stand out. And trust me, you don't want to miss this one.